Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to our episode number 9 of the podcast People First, the Heart of Business. This podcast brings together voices from those who support, uplift, empower, and work with people every day. I am Gabriela Castro-Smith from Trading Motion and Cross Border Talent Solutions Advisor. Today on our podcast, People First, the Heart of Business, we are honored to welcome an outstanding guest who is widely recognized for her commitment to people's growth in Arizona, Deanna White. Deanna White is the Chief of Staff of the Arizona Technology Council. She is also the president of D.E.W. Business Solutions, a consulting firm she founded to guide small businesses with the leadership and forward thinking needed to reach the next level. In addition, Diana serves as president of the Coalition of Colorful Women, an organization dedicated to celebrating and empowering women of color from all walks of life. Beyond her leadership roles, Diana co-hosts 10 Lessons Learned, an international podcast sharing insights on business, life, and career with rising leaders across the globe. And as she describes it, imagine overhearing a stimulating conversation that dispenses wisdom. Welcome to our podcast, Diana.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Thank you very much. I know I've been knowing you for years, and I know that you have a very, very strong leadership. So please tell us, how are you so passionate about leadership?
Well, I'm originally from New York, and I cut my teeth in retail in Manhattan, and it can be one of the toughest places in the world to do customer service and sales because you have a lot of people that time is the highest commodity, and they don't want their time wasted, and they want what they want. So I learned a lot on how to read people and how to figure out, what is your mood? Are you in a rush? Are you angry? Are you just browsing? And I noticed that as I was growing up in this world, I had leaders that were focused. Some were focused on passion of helping people find the things that they need. Most were focused on the profits and the performance of the store. And that left little room for caring for the people and being empathetic for your people who they're on the front lines, right? So if your employees are feeling down, unhappy, dissatisfied, that is absolutely going to show through in the customer service, which is a detriment to your sales. So even as young as I was, I realized, wait a minute, I see stores that perform really well because the manager gives us a sense of, hey, we're all in this together, and this can be a great time if you want it to be, and you get to help people. And then I've seen stores where the staff, the turnover is horrific. It's everybody's miserable, morale is down, and it's because nobody feels seen. And I always say, hence being part of the 10 Lessons Learned show, I always say, if you stop learning, you're dead. You are always learning for the rest of your life if you choose to, right? And I learn from someone every day. And it doesn't matter how smart they are, how educated, how much money they have. I learn from anyone and everyone. And sometimes I learn what not to do. And that has been my leadership journey. And then I gravitated towards HR and doing a lot of human resources work with small businesses and small companies, because I really feel like if you get a leader at the very beginning, let's say when they're transitioning from a management role, because there's a big difference between management and leadership. You have the potential, if you can meet them where they are and teach them the values of why it's important to value their staff and their team, you can make the world a better place, and then those teachings pass down to the people that felt safe to grow under their tutelage, and then they do the same thing. So it's a domino effect. So I know that sounded really kumbaya, but I do believe in it. I do believe in it. So I think that's my fundamental philosophy on leadership. Lead by example, be empathetic, fight for your team, show them that they mean something to you, and explain the why. Why are you doing these things? What's the purpose of all of this? And how does it benefit anyone at all? And get them on board with it. And you'd be so surprised. You'd be so surprised what can happen. Magical things happen.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's why I created this podcast, People First, because there's nothing more important in the world than people. And how can give us an example of how the management team can support, uplift, and empower their teams?
I there are examples, but I want to start off with a bit of advice. And the piece of advice I want to give to managers that are transitioning into leadership, or leaders who kind of are self-aware that they don't have the morale that they need to have in their team, but they're not too sure what to do. Check your ego. And when I say check your ego, I mean litmus test. Like, really think about your ego. Is your ego getting in the way? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a matter of you need different tools. But a lot of the times when I talk to leaders and they're having difficulties with their team and it's a morale thing, a lot of times it's because they don't realize that there's a bit of an ego, or maybe even a threat of, if I don't keep my thumb on the pulse of their necks, if I don't keep them working, if I don't keep it serious, then I'm going to be seen as a failure. If I give someone enough rope that they are a superstar and they swing to the stars, they might outshine me. And fundamentally, that's what's stopping you from being the leader that you need to be to those people. Because at the end of the day, if you're the right leader for them, they're going to give you all the credit in the world. There's no way that I've had certain circumstances where I've had people that I've known, oh, you're gonna surpass me. You're gonna be amazing. I see it in you. And I nurture it and I water it like a plant. Never, ever once, when it's time for them to move on and do that bigger or better thing, never once have they turned to me and said, see ya, chump. They don't do that. They don't say, oh, yeah, I'm so glad I'm leaving you behind. It's always been, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. This is
Exactly.
amazing. I'm gonna emulate what you've done for me. I'm gonna do it for others. And I think that if we could do a litmus test on our egos first and see if the ego could be the problem, then that's the first step. And then listening. Some of the most powerful leaders that I know and that I watch from afar, they don't say much. They listen. They listen to their team. They figure out what ideas are good and what ideas need work. They share, they're transparent. They all often speak last because they want to hear what everybody else is thinking. And
Yeah.
then they have patience. And then also, one of the bigger things is they understand that while business is serious, unless you're in a life-threatening business, nothing is life-threatening. And I mean this to say, if you've ever been in a job where you've got a boss that everything is a sense of urgency, everything is an emergency, everything is an 11th hour dive for survival, your body doesn't know the difference if you are feeling these fight or flight instincts. Your body doesn't know the difference between imaginary and real visceral threat. And so the managers that keep their team on what I call heart attack status every moment of the day that they work, and sometimes when they're not even working. I know people that get emails and text messages after hours. What's going on with this project? It better be good. Well, I can't do anything about it now, right? The project's due tomorrow. Now you're just putting the fear of God in me for something that I tried to do my best with as a human being. That doesn't make people feel good. I've never seen a person, at least that I've worked with. I know this is a big, big world, but never had a person say, "Man, you know when I really thrive? When my heart is beating so fast and I'm about to cry because I think I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I thrive." I haven't heard anybody say that to me yet. So the threats and the, holding things over people's heads, that's a power trip that isn't conducive to a good working environment. So those are the kinds of things that I say are the big glaring things that you're not going to have a great performing team. They may perform for a little while, but it's not sustainable. And then we take it from there. I'll go and okay, we fix these big overarching things. We fix these. So now let's look at the little things. How do you recognize your people, when they do good things? We've got to the point where you're not scaring them to death now. How do you recognize them for the good things? How do you coach them on the bad things? And everybody's different. There's no one size fits all leadership kind of mentorship system. You have to approach everybody differently. So if you have a person on your team that does hard work, I mean, they are reliable and stellar every single time, but they want to be in the background. They do not like attention. They do not like the spotlight. It drives them nuts. Then you have another person on the other side who performs incredibly well, but they do it because they love that spotlight. Their name needs to be spoken in every Monday morning meeting about what they did because they just need that, right? Well, you don't celebrate the introverted person by calling their name out and having everybody look at them in the meeting. You don't do that because then they will underperform because they don't ever want that spotlight again. And you don't just discount what the person that needs that spotlight, they need the accolade. You don't discount them because they won't perform. Why? It's not worth it. I'm not getting anything from it. So you have to really learn the different people's personalities in order to get the best out of them and to be the best for them. I think that's the biggest thing, to be the best for them. So the introverted one, a candy bar and a thank you card on their desk waiting for me. You did an amazing job. Thank you. The extroverted one that needs the accolades, ticker tape parade. Trust me, the introverted one is not going to get jealous that the extroverted one got the ticker tape parade.
Yeah, that's a very good topic, the introverts and extroverts. I am an introvert, and that's true. I mean, I learned to be on the spot, but it's not easy. And the extroverts, they feel like it's their place. And you need to balance both, as you said, because I mean, the introvert say, please say nothing about me. And the other one wants the pride and the current, but both are necessary in a team, both of them. And both of them can be excellent, can be brilliant, but each one in their own areas. I agree with you. And you think or you consider yourself a servant leader?
I do. I do. I didn't know what it was. I actually didn't know what it was until I did about a 2 year I hate to say stint, it sounds like jail time. I did 2 years running the bookstore at Grand Canyon University in Arizona. And for anybody that knows about Grand Canyon University, it's an amazing university. The campus is phenomenal, and it's a Christian university. Right. And they follow a lot of the philosophies in their business courses of Ken Blanchard. Ken Blanchard is one of the, I would say, pioneers of servant leadership. He written many books about it. And it wasn't until I got there and I started reading on these philosophies and the different kinds of leadership styles and what they truly mean that I was like, oh my goodness, I'm a servant leader. Like that's the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
And I do it because as growing up working retail from 14 years old, I just knew how I like to be motivated and how what made me feel horrible about this workplace. And watching other people, because I am introverted, watching other people and how they reacted to the same stimuli from different leaders. And I realized, oh yeah, no, I'm not autocratic. I'm servant. I would rather be behind the scenes pushing people forward to shine and
Yeah.
be their best, uh, because I mean, all of it culminates into a celebration. If you have a project, if you're on a team and you have a team project and you're the team leader and you get everybody to perform their best and the team turns in a project that is stellar, at the end of the day, everybody celebrates equally or as equally as possible because everybody knows if it wasn't for us, it wouldn't have happened. Not, well, Diana pushed us and she made me cry a couple of nights, but we got it done and we won. Or so and so didn't do a thing, but at the end of the day, two people carried all the weight and we got it done. Yeah, none of that. It's we all did it together. And Diana made sure the obstacles were out of our way so we could do what we needed to do. Or Diana explained to us, I know how you feel, but this is what we have to work with. So we got to make it happen. I guess
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
And it's wonderful because at the end of the project, everybody, including the manager, feels so good because he or she uplifted and supported all the team. And at the end, the job was well done. So it's a win-win situation for everyone.
And on the converse, too, right? If the job wasn't well done, if I've been in situations where I've had a project and I said, okay, team, I'm trusting you with this. What do you need from me? And then it's the 11th hour. A lot of times I catch it beforehand and I say, I see where this is going. We need to course correct, and this is why. But there have been a couple of times where I didn't catch it. And it wasn't a stellar project. And we didn't do that well. And that is not the time where I went back to the team to say, how dare you make me look bad? How could we have failed? It's okay, we're human. This was not our best look. What do we do differently? What should I have done differently for you? They're a part of every decision, even when the outcome isn't as what we wanted it to be, because that's a learning lesson for each and every one of us, including me, the leader.
Exactly. And the learning lesson, it's wonderful for everyone because everybody grows. And that's the good thing. Because it's not arriving to the goal, it's who you are becoming on that path when you
Thousand
will
percent.
arrive to the goal. It's
Yep.
wonderful. Diana, very, very nice. Tell me about the coalition of colorful women. What do you do? Why are you involved? Why are you the president? What 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 do you offer to the ladies?
So this started several years ago, and we're still really really small and trying to get our feet wet. I'm thinking about actually turning it into an online community to see if I can, because it is supposed to be at some point global. It started because I went to a conference several years ago, and I've since a long time ago, age experience, right? I go into places and spaces and I know I belong. If I didn't belong there, the universe wouldn't have put me there. And so I have a certain level of confidence there. I also don't believe in that phrase imposter syndrome. So I may feel like, wow, this opportunity, like I didn't know the universe thought I was ready for this opportunity. This is kind of intimidating, but I don't feel like I'm an imposter. I know who I am, right? Um, so I don't necessarily get as nervous as much when I go into spaces. So I was at this conference and there was a big keynote speaker. And at the conference, I've been talking to people I haven't seen for a while and making new friends and just going about my business. And after the keynote speaker finished, I got up and I turned around, and there was the most beautiful young African American woman standing in front of me. And I just smiled and I said, "Hi." And she goes, "Hi." And I go, it's a little bit of an awkward kind of pause there. And I'm like, "Are you enjoying the conference?" And she's like, "Yeah." And it wasn't, I knew she was there to speak to me. Like she was literally right in front of me when I turned around. But for some reason, she wasn't saying anything. And so I didn't want to say, "Can I help you?" Because that's kind of rude, right? And so I just said, "Well, what are you enjoying about the conference? How are you finding it?" And she finally said, "Can I ask you a question?" And this young lady, I found out that she is not only beautiful, but brilliant. A master's degree at an early age, doing phenomenal things in her organization, just a, a firecracker. And she looked at me and she said, "I've been watching you throughout the conference." And I said, "Okay." And she says, "You just seem so comfortable. You're just talking to everybody and laughing." And I said, "Yeah, I enjoy these conferences. I hope you're getting the same kind of feeling." And then she asked me, she said, "When will I feel like I belong?" Oh, Gabriela, oh my gosh. It almost brought tears to my eyes. I said, "You belong. You belong. Why don't you feel like you belong?" It's just, I just don't feel, I always feel like I'm the outsider because a lot of places I walk, I'm the only African American and most time the only African American woman. And I just looked at her and I said, "You need a village because you are not the only one that has felt this. I felt this. I'm at a stage in my life now where I don't feel it anymore, but I've been there. And a lot of women of color are still there." And when I got home, I just realized I gotta do something. I mean, I'm not Oprah, but there's got to be a way that I can gather women who have kind of been there, done that, and women who are like, "I'm still trying to find my way," and connect them so that they can talk about anything and everything. And one of the reasons why it's a coalition for women of color and not for women in general is because women of color still, and now unfortunately in the past few years less and less, um, have safe spaces where they can talk about very triggering things without them being minimized, without them being misconstrued. It's very difficult if you have a woman who is saying, "There's a lady at work that always makes comments about my locks, and it makes me uncomfortable, but I can't say anything because she's a supervisor." Another woman that is not of the same ethnicity in that group, when this woman is sharing something that is very traumatizing to her, may say, "Oh, she doesn't really mean it," or, "Oh, don't." I don't want anybody minimized. Everybody's story means something to them and it needs to be heard. And then you need to be able to give them the tools to work through these things or the tools to be able to address these matters so they don't happen again, right? And this is work, this is personal relationships. We have a lot of biracial relationships happening now. There are a lot of Black women who are dating outside of their race. There are a lot of um, people who date another race. They date the African American race and they love the person that they're with, but they don't understand the culture or the baggage or the history that comes with that person. And that can tend to be isolating, right? And so having a space where a woman of color can come to me, and I'm not just talking about African American women. I speak from that voice because I'm African American, but it could be Latina, it could be Native, it could be anyone who considers themselves a woman of color. They come and they say, hey, I'm having trouble with X, and I don't know what to do. I want to be able to say, I have an auntie for that. So the older women are aunties, the younger women are nieces. And I want to be able to say, oh, you're you're in a biracial relationship and the people at work are asking you questions because they're curious, but they're crossing a line. I got an auntie for that. I'm going to connect the two of you so you can talk about this, right? So I think that's the gist of it. Just having a safe space for women of color to talk about the different things that they face every day in a group of women that maybe they're not facing the same thing, but they face something and they get it. And there's no judgment. We listen, we don't judge, right? And we help.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the village.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful because you have someone, an auntie, as you say, to help the young ones. Because anyway, when we are young, we still not develop our self-confidence. We are on our way, but you still don't know what to say, not to say, if someone is bothering you, if you can respond or not. I mean, I'm from a different country and also from a different time, but at this moment women have a lot of support, which is wonderful, that maybe before we had less
Right.
than
Right.
what is happening now. And it's really, really good that other women are helping these women to grow and to feel stronger and to say, okay, you have the right to say no. You
Right.
have the right to say, I don't agree, even if you thought that you had. So it's a marvelous work that you are doing and putting all together and guiding the ladies, and your leadership is helping them to have a voice.
I recently did a presentation, and it was pretty powerful. It was about setting boundaries. And although I talk about this all the time, I'd never done a presentation about it before. And the whole concept of no is a full sentence, right? We talk about that a lot when it comes to dating and the dynamics between men and women or partner to partner, where you don't, as a woman, sometimes you don't feel like you have the ability to just say no and have it be done. You have to apologize, you have to explain and all that kind of stuff. But it also goes into the workplace as well, right? We're women in the workplace still to this day, we're seen as nurturers, right? Even if we don't have a nurturing bone in our body. Somebody will look at it. I remember when I was doing retail and I was managing stores, and I had a lot of male manager counterparts, and we would swap stories and talk about, different situations that employees bring to us, kind of just to, get another feel of how it could be handled in the best way. And I would come and I would say, "Oh yeah, one of my employees came to me and said that she had to go home because she broke up with her boyfriend, and she was going to be crying all day and she couldn't." And the men were looking at me like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, you guys don't get that?" They were like, no, they don't come to us with that personal crap. We don't care about that. We got to get the job done. And I'm like, why do they come to me? And I said, oh, they come to me because I'm a woman. That's why. And it's not that I don't care. I have a heart. I have a child. I've been dumped. I know what all of these things feel like, but I'm still a manager. I'm still a leader in the workplace. And although I want to be there for everybody because my servant leadership never ends, some things it's just not appropriate to put upon me because you think because I'm a woman, I'm going to treat you differently. And I think that that's the fundamental issue that we deal with in the workplace anyway. Because I'm a woman, I'm treated differently. I'm paid less. Um, they're less quick to promote me, right? All of those things come with the trappings of being a woman in the workplace, but it's also the opposite that when you get into leadership, now if you are not the nurturing mother figure, you're labeled as a bee, you're labeled as a cold, heartless bee. And I had to train myself to get a thicker skin and to know that my servant leadership is enough. I know how much I feel for my employees and my teams. I don't need to get out of my comfort zone and mother you in order for you to feel like I'm a good leader. I know I'm a good leader, and leadership is not mothering. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Good. Diana, I see your background that you have the Arizona Technology Council, this background. I'm part of the council, which is amazing. It's a great council.
It
Can you
is.
explain us what your functions are in that regard?
Well, I am, first of all, I can explain to you that I am lucky. At AZ Tech Council, the Arizona Technology Council is an amazing organization. And
Yes.
I dare say it's a really, really cool family ecosystem, right? Uh, we do amazing things for policy when it comes to STEM industries in Arizona. We do amazing events. We have over 100 events in a year, anywhere in Phoenix to Southern Arizona. We love our members. We provide resources for our members. That one of the things that I love when I took on this role and I started to learn more and more about what we do. Um, is that our president and CEO, Steve Zylstra, uh, he understood the importance of how value add for a small company that you're just starting out, you need to hire the right people, but you haven't made enough money to present the best compensation package. So you can't even be competitive in that route, right? So Steve decided, well, we'll go ahead and we'll figure out how to do a group 401k plan and group healthcare so that if you're a member and you pay your membership, you get access to this healthcare in the 401k that you can put in these compensation packages and entice the best talent. And that is a phenomenal thing to do for small companies just getting their feet off the ground, right? So I love that. My role is to make sure that the council itself, the organization itself, is running like clockwork. So I handle operations, I handle HR. I work in tandem with Steve to make sure that the team has everything they need to do the best because I've talked to several people, especially when I took the role, and they were like, "Wow, how many people are going to report into you, right? You probably have like 50 people on staff." I'm like, "No, we've got 9, 10 people on staff." Like, what? No, there's no way. AZ Tech Council does so much stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We are the smallest and mightiest team I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's really all due to Steve. Steve having the vision, explaining the why, and holding us accountable. And we perform miracles, and it's phenomenal. We love it. So that's my job, is to make sure that everybody has what they need to go out there and succeed. Um, from, making sure that if they need office supplies, they get the authorization to get what they need because we all work remotely, to making sure they get paid on time, all the little grunt things that people don't think about, right? Um, to making sure that they know that I'm here for them if they need to talk. Do they need to talk to me in an HR capacity or do they need to vent? Sometimes you just need to vent. It's an expression. I know you've heard it before. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
That's crap.
exactly.
Nah, that's crap. Even if you love what you do, sometimes it's still work. I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I love being a mom. I wouldn't trade it for the world. My daughter is everything to me. Being a mom is work. All
Yes,
right.
that's
So
true.
let's not sugarcoat that. Sometimes it is work and sometimes it's hard work. But the thing is, do you smile more at the end of every day than you say, oh, thank God it's over? Right? That's the beauty. If you can
Yeah,
smile more at
exactly.
the end of every day, yeah. So
And if you love what you do, it's it's wonderful because not everybody works on what they love.
I know,
And
I
I
know.
I suppose that it would be hard to at the end of the day saying, okay, or looking at the watch, you saying, oh my goodness, still 2 hours to
I
go.
know. I know. Yes,
So
so
that's
true.
it's a blessing to love what you
It is. It is. I used to teach my daughter, find a way to do what you love, or find something to love about what you have to do to put food on the table. One or the other, because we spend way too many hours at work to be miserable.
do. Exactly. So Diana, to wrap up our podcast, please, I leave the microphone open for you. What do you want to tell the leaders? What would you what would be your recommendation?
Well, okay. So my recommendation would be keep an open mind. You're as a leader, you're already phenomenal. Somebody has already said that you are phenomenal enough to lead a team. And understand that that's real and that's never going to go away. No imposter syndrome here. You did that. You earned that respect and that trust. So you don't have to necessarily feel intimidated by your team. They're there to make you shine more if you do it in the right way. And I think that would be the biggest message that I can give. And remember, just remember, I don't know of a person, unless maybe you're talking about nepotism or a trust fund baby or something like that. I don't know of a person that didn't have to work their way up, that didn't have to work their way up in some capacity, that didn't have a boss of their own. Heck, even if your first boss was your board, right? I don't know of anyone that didn't have to answer to someone. Remember what that was like. And remember how they made you feel. If they made you feel good, emulate it. If they made you feel bad, learn from that mistake. It's as simple as that. You do not have to perpetuate that cycle. Um, you get the best from people when they know that you're going to support them. And then the last thing I will say is I'm very active on LinkedIn. I've tried to commit myself to writing an article at least once a month. Haven't been so great at it, but I've been trying. And most of the articles that I write are pretty fun and pretty tongue in cheek, but they always have a segment for leaders. They always have a segment, a little tidbit that I want to give leaders. And it's done with levity, but there's some real topics. So yeah, that would be what I would recommend. Open your mind, understand that you are not a monolith. You can't do it alone, but you can't force people to follow you, to love you. You really have to earn that respect
Yeah, sure.
and keep learning.
Thank you very much for being our guest, Diana. Please follow Diana in social media. And we finish our podcast. I'm Gabriela Castro with Trade in Motion and Diana White with Arizona Tech Technology Council. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.